If you want to race, we'll be your engine. If you want to go far, we'll be your fuel. If you want to see it all, we'll be your eyes. If you want to aim higher, we'll give you a target. If you want to make a difference, we'll be your strength. If you want to fly, we will give you the wings. Above all, if you have a dream, together we can make it happen.
Singapore Aviation. A humble demonstration flight a century ago heralded the start of aviation in Singapore. Now, Singapore is an aviation hub connecting places, people and ideas. Supported by a bustling aerospace industry, delivering tons of cargo around the world. Guarding our skies, our way of life. From an island to a global city. This is Singapore's aviation story on its centennial year. The Republic of Singapore Air Force, dedicated men and women, operationally ready, defending the nation's skies 24/7. At the air bases and at other air defence facilities, Air Force teams are on standby. It's a 24-hour watch over Singapore's airspace by the air defence controllers. With the help of cutting-edge radar technology, they are monitoring the airspace and will sound the alarm if any suspicious aircraft is detected.
Everybody's on their toes. When you sit on position, it's about maintaining some level of high level of vigilance and readiness.
Meanwhile, a team of engineers prepare the fighters on operational standby.
I'm the manager of the aircraft. It's like a girlfriend to me. Take care of it, and she can protect our country well.
Rain or shine, another team at work and always ready. The ground-based air defence teams are the second line of defence against any potential intruders on any hour of any day. They are on guard.
Hi! When we are on 24/7 duty, every day we have to tell ourselves that anything that happens, it cannot be training. It cannot be training.
We need to always be on the go, so anything happens, we'll be there first to protect the country.
Round the clock, this watchful team stands ready, as they were on 22nd January 2008.
There was an aircraft without any flight plan.
It had been a routine Tuesday, till now. An aircraft with no filed flight plan was heading towards Singapore.
We all knew what happened during September 11th.
There was no time for guessing. The Air Force took action. Procedures, honed by years of training, now kicked in. At 6:42 p.m, the fighters were scrambled.
We've been trained to react to whatever aircraft comes in.
The pilots had little to go on. All they knew was that they were up against a Cessna, a two-seater plane, intentions unknown. Over the next 50 minutes, Singapore's airspace went into lockdown as a pair of F-16s took to the skies to intercept the Cessna.
The adrenaline was pumping. We stayed focused and get him to talk to us.
You have been intercepted by Republic of Singapore Air Force armed fighters. You are to comply with our instructions or risk being shot down.
The iHawk team is on full alert to bring the intruder down if called upon.
Unknown aircraft, this is Singapore radar on guard. Request your call sign, altitude and intention.
The RBS-70 team is also on standby.
I could see the F-16s, the two F-16 that was involved in escorting the Cessna.
Identified unknown, low-level light aircraft, slow mover. Unknown aircraft turning right to 090. Control the cockpit, escort aircraft to land.
By 8 p.m., the Cessna had landed. For the standby teams, a potential threat to the nation's airspace successfully averted.
There won't be doubts. It's very clear in our mind that if the call for us to do it, that is our mission, we will do it.
At no point in time anyone took him for granted.
It was coordinated action. It was one team, one fight.
It was very different less than 50 years ago, when the Air Force began its journey to operational readiness against the odds. 16th January 1968, Britain announced the pullout of all its forces from the region by March 1971. Singapore had no options but to build an air force with great urgency. 8 months later, the Singapore Air Defence Command was formed. A force started with just 2 Cessnas and 6 pilots, was given the responsibility for the nation's air defence. From those humble beginnings has emerged an air force whose instincts have been sharpened with dedicated training and capabilities built up with the help of technology. Coming up next, the people and firepower of the Air Force in action. The Republic of Singapore Air Force, its journey to operational readiness was achieved at breakneck speed against all odds. From the time of the country's independence, it built up comprehensive air defense capabilities. From that pioneering generation has evolved today's modern and capable Air Force. In the mid-1980s and 1990s, in its second generation phase, the RSAF continued to upgrade its capabilities, acquiring some of the latest technology of the time. The Air Force entered into the supersonic jet era. The evolution continues today in what the RSAF describes as its third generation phase. The third gen Air Force taps on the latest technology, like the G550 airborne early warning aircraft and F-15SG fighter jets that guard over Singapore's skies. It also banks on its team of professionals, whose abilities are sharpened to harness the firepower at their disposal. All Air Force pilots are also put through their paces in simulators regularly to ensure they remain proficient. Captain Khoo, a fighter pilot for 7 years, returns each time to sharpen her combat instincts in a realistic scenario, like those pilots would encounter in combat.
When you're in the midst of trying to kill the enemy, then your adrenaline really gets pumping.
Behind the scenes, the control room activates scenarios designed to challenge a pilot.
Altitude, altitude.
Captain Khoo has been thrust into a one-to-one dogfight.
Things that matter at that point in time is yourself, your aircraft, what the enemy is doing, what you're trying to do to get your aircraft in a position to employ weapons against him.
The simulators help keep the pilots proficient due to limited local airspace for training to hone their instincts to take out the enemy.
In a complicated package scenario, that's when things can get very challenging because you have so many aircraft in one piece of sky and everybody is looking out for one another as well as looking for the enemy as well. And the enemy is doing the same thing, of course.
At another RSAF facility, the Aero Medical Center, an aviation medical team also plays a crucial role in keeping the Air Force operationally ready.
The value of AeroMed to the whole of RSAF is that we provide a one-stop shop or center for all my aircrew and flying-related vocations, aeromedical and psychological needs.
Today, fighter pilot Lieutenant Joel Ng is getting suited up for a training session in the Human Training Centrifuge, or HTC. He will be tested for the extremes of gravitational forces his body can take when on a mission.
G-force is actually an insidious threat in our daily flying operations.
G-force is the pressure of X times the force of gravity on the human body. While a roller coaster generates maximum 4 Gs, the fighter pilots will encounter up to 9 Gs when flying. At high Gs, every movement becomes significantly more strenuous because the pilot has to fight the weight acting on him and still control the aircraft. The HTC replicates the gravitational forces which a fighter pilot has to experience in a safe and controlled environment.
It tells us where our own limitation stands, if we are able to withstand the high amount of G-forces. So at any one point of time where we are unable to do so, we will actually stop. And we tell ourselves for the day, was it something we didn't do right? Could it be a technique, a straining technique that we are not doing correctly?
Technology-aided training like these also prepares pilots for large-scale exercises in the field. 4 times the size of Singapore lie the training grounds at Shoalwater Bay in Australia. Here, the Singapore Armed Forces conducts its annual Air Force and Army integrated exercise, Wallaby. About half of the Air Force's flying training is conducted overseas, overcoming airspace constraints in Singapore.
In XS Wallaby, because of the vast airspace available, we are able to conduct larger force exercises with not just the Super Puma helicopters supporting the land operations, but also to bring in the Chinook, the Apaches, serving different roles, as well as the fighters, all together in the same mission to support a common mission objective.
It was a test of the combat readiness of the Air Force. In the last Wallaby exercise in 2010, which stretched over 65 days and involved over 5,000 men, it was also a test of the mettle of its servicemen. Training, moving supplies and men under different weather conditions in unfamiliar terrain over vast distances. Wallaby is an opportunity for the Air Force to experience firsthand a large-scale operation with land forces of the Army. Wallaby is just one of the large-scale exercises that will continue to sharpen the capabilities of the Air Force. At a training ground in the state of Oklahoma, Forging Sabre is another large-scale exercise that the Air Force participates in with the Army.
In the recent exercise Forging Sabre in 2009, we brought together assets like the Searcher UAVs, F-16 fighter aircraft, Apache attack helicopters, and the high mobility artillery rocket system to validate the SAF in its integrated strike capabilities in a mission-oriented setting.
Simulating real conflict scenarios, 2 2,000-pound live bombs have been dropped during this exercise. The RSAF also participates in integrated exercises with the Republic of Singapore Navy. The naval helicopter enhances the frigate's capabilities at sea by allowing them to see and engage the enemy at further range. Integrated exercises like these are vital, for it strengthens the operational capabilities of the Air Force and Navy to defend Singapore. Coming up next, the Air Force on the front line and to the rescue. The Republic of Singapore Air Force exhibits its operational readiness beyond the nation's boundaries by contributing within its means to regional and international missions. In the Gulf of Aden, the Air Force's Super Puma helicopters, together with the Singapore Navy, patrols the front line in the global battle against pirates. And for the first time, the RSAF also deployed its Fokker 50 to conduct air surveillance operations to support the multinational task force deployed to deter the pirates that terrorize the shipping lanes. After a 3-month deployment, the Fokker team is back in Singapore. And for one young pilot, back at his dream job.
Childhood dream that I wanted to be a pilot because when I was young, I actually sat on a civil liner and I had the opportunity to be in the cockpit. And from then on, I saw the landing and I said that, well, I'm going to be a pilot.
Kelvin joins a group within the Air Force with experience from peace support and security missions to the world's troubled spots.
When I fly, I heard a few distress signals and they were calling that I have 3 skiffs chasing me behind my back and at my port and my starboard. And when we get that distress signals, we went down, we took pictures of it. And we just basically visible to the skiffs so that they see us and if they are real pirates and they will not dare to do anything funny.
Back at base, he's on a job that contributed to and now draws on his experiences from the front line. His Air Force Fokker 50 squadron patrols the shipping lanes around Singapore.
Ultimately, it's still related to Singapore because the sea lanes are connected. You know, with our knowledge in Malacca Straits, Singapore Straits, we can bring this knowledge over and to secure the sea lanes there.
On another troubled front line, 52 men from the SAF's Unmanned Aerial Vehicle or UAV task group adjust to life with the International Stabilization and Reconstruction Mission in war-torn Afghanistan.
Where we're operating from is in a desert environment, and also the altitude that we're operating from is higher.
I have to really change my mindset. Someone who is in operational environment, who have to have heightened awareness of everything. Chinook was landing and the whole UAV was shaking. 3 of us, including me, the escort IC, was really lying low because the downwash of the Chinook is very powerful.
Adapting fast to the demands of the combat zone, the Singapore Air Force stands as an equal partner alongside other multinational forces.
The Singapore deployment is vital to what we're doing. That is, it provides overwatch for all of our soldiers every day. And they are on time, on target every day.
Their surveillance on the Afghan front line kept both locals and peacekeepers safe. But not every deployment ends in a combat zone. A team has returned from helping victims of the New Zealand earthquake.
On the day of activation, actually I just landed from a training sortie. So the moment I walked through the squadron doors, I was told to prepare for the mission to assist Christchurch in the disaster relief operations. So we activated the planning processes to make sure that we covered everything.
Once we landed in Christchurch, once the offloading is done, once we deployed the civil defence in Christchurch, we took off to Venupai. It's an Air Force base in New Zealand.
On the 22nd of February 2011, a 6.3 magnitude earthquake struck New Zealand's South Island. Close to 200 people were killed.
There's a lot of anxiety in the first place. The fact that we don't know whether we can accomplish the missions. A lot of challenges that we face as well. But we knew that as a team we need to overcome these challenges and these anxieties. Through watching the news, we knew that a lot of lives are in trouble and we wanted to help.
The RSAF's deployment mission started the day after the earthquake.
The main job over there is to help to assist them to ferry relief store in theatre from different parts of New Zealand to Christchurch and to ferry some of those victims.
Of course, they're a bit traumatized, they're a bit worried, all this and that. Some were crying, you can see that. And their main thing is that we can't take everybody one time in the aircraft. So sometimes they will be asking whether we can follow with my family member.
The humanitarian assistance mission is not new to the servicemen. They've assisted at the Asian tsunami, even hurricane relief in the US.
It helps out a lot, so it takes a bit of strain off New Zealand Air Force.
Thank you so much, absolutely, from all of us in Christchurch. You're wonderful.
Whenever we do these sort of missions, it's like we're helping others. And yeah, even though we sacrifice leaving our family back, and once we come back, we feel proud of it.
From the pirate-infested waters of Aden to war-torn Afghanistan to disaster zones, the Air Force is stretching its wings, building new experiences to complement its operational role back home, where it keeps guard over Singapore's airspace. Other than air defense or security missions, the Air Force is also on standby, ready to help in emergencies.
We do rescue 24/7, 365 days a year, and be on alert all the time.
On that morning of 12 January, we got a standby call in the middle of the night.
A seaman on a ship in the South China Sea was injured and in need of urgent medical aid. The search and rescue team was dispatched immediately. In this rescue and in others by the same team, the line between life and death could be influenced by a rescue team arriving on time.
However, there's no helipad, so we couldn't land.
We have to choose an area suitable for us to carry out the winch. Once we went down, I see him spitting out blood from his mouth.
He was looking a bit dazed. He was unsure where he was.
For us to be out there being able to rescue someone is very meaningful. And I always believe that the next greatest thing to creating life is saving life.
Few peacetime duties put the Air Force in the limelight like its ceremonial state flag flypast on Singapore's National Day. Every year, a Chinook team prepares for the flypast.
This year, I'm basically in charge of the ballast weight, the ones that holds down the flag, the whole flag, so that it will move straight, getting the team to work together. That is the most important because the flag is very heavy.
Because we have to do it together, we can't do it by individual. We have to carry the flag, to coordinate each other, to help out, to make it that we can pick out the flag just in time. So teamwork is very important to us.
It's now the final hours before the ceremonial flypast.
Every year, our squadron goes through this process, and we recognize that this is a very tiring but important process. What is National Day without a huge flag flying past?
When the Chinook coming down and pick the flag, and you can see all your hard work pay off and the flag finally open. It's very proud at the moment there.
Although I've seen it quite a few times, but every time the flag opens up, it's really a very proud and joyous moment.
It has come a long way since it began in uncertain times. The transformation has been dramatic, with cutting-edge firepower, a dedicated team of professionals operationally ready, working to keep the skies safe. This is the Republic of Singapore Air Force, the guardian of our skies.
The Singapore Air Force rocks.
You're the best.
Like my daughter just says, RSAF rocks.
真的要鼓励了他，看这个国家平安。
加油！加油！这个国家需要他们，而且希望培养更多的这种人才。